Hello and welcome back to the And Both podcast. Picture Katie Schlott at a 7 a.m. rave. No alcohol, costumes optional. Everyone's just dancing with strangers before breakfast. This is one of the stops on the networking experiment that she ran and wrote about for Inc. magazine. She also tried pop-up dinners in total strangers' homes, perfume making fundraisers, online Slack communities, Wonder Woman dinners with a chef and a seating chart, and joining a volunteer board for women's health research. All in the name of figuring out what actually works when the traditional approach, conferences, happy hours, name tags, stop making sense for her and a lot of us. Katie's back for her second episode on And Both. She's an innovation consultant, a writer for Inc. and Fast Company, a sandwich generation caregiver, and someone who has very strong opinions about Costco tote bags, all of which will make complete sense by the end of the conversation. Love Costco. Love the whole thing. Here's Katie. Welcome to And Both, a podcast about what it really looks like to put yourself on the list while raising kids and doing all the other things life asks of you. I'm your host, Ashley Blackington, and on this show, you'll hear conversations with moms who are figuring it out in their own ways, plus a few solo episodes from me from time to time. It's not about having all the answers, it's about sharing stories, learning from each other, and knowing we don't have to choose between either or when we're living in the middle of And Both. Let's get into today's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of the And Both podcast. I am back this week. Well, I'm here every week, but Katie Schlott is back with me this week. That sounds better. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you back. I feel like you and I have 75 different directions we're going at the same time. It's like two hummingbirds trying to connect in the dark. But yes, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back. I have so many things I want to talk about with you, but we'll rein it in or not.
This is our world as we're creating it. So tell people that need to go back and listen to your first episode here, a little bit about you, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Absolutely. So the last time we chatted, I think we were talking more about caregiving, and which is right up your alley. And I'm a sandwich generation caregiver, but it kind of stemmed from writing an article for Fast Company. So it's only apropos that now we are talking about a different article that's been written that I wrote for Inc. magazine, which I do in my spare time when I'm not running my consultancy or trying to spin up a new business, as one does in their midlife career, pivot. So this specifically, this article was more about networking and what I call the new rules of networking and how to create a more authentic network. I think everything that we've done in the past no longer works. It's not steak dinners and big conferences and all that kind of thing. I don't want a lot of surface level relationships. And so how do you build that in this kind of next era of career growth for people? So I wrote about it. I did an experiment.
Tell me all the things.
Tell you all the experiments. So given that I spent 20 years almost in innovation and design, helping companies come up with what their next big growth areas were going to be, or solving really big, juicy tech challenges, everything we did was around experimentation. So you're not going to get it right out of the gate. As entrepreneurs, we know that, and iteration is really important. And so when I was taking a look at my network 20 years in, 25 years into my career, saying I don't know, do I have a good network? Are people going to show up? I think I kind of abandoned it there for 10 years when, my kids are starting to grow up. I just kind of stuck doing what I was doing as a parent. And so I did an experiment, and my experiment was, how can I join a lot of different quote unquote unconventional networks? So I tried everything to build something more authentic around myself and the people I wanted to be connected with in a different way than ever before. So I went to, I don't know if you've ever been to one of these, it's a day rave where you go and it's just no drinking. It starts at 7 a.m., which I'm not a morning person. So I was kind of people are in costumes and you're just having energy from being with all these people. This makes me sound super wild, but I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to try that. I'm just going to try that. And then I went to these dinners, these like pop-up dinners in total strangers' homes. And then I signed up for like perfume making fundraisers. Like I just tried everything because I'm like, these are interests I have. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
meet new people I probably never would have met. And I'm just going to do this experiment to see what sticks. And I think the first thing that I really learned was like that traditional way that people thought about building networks, like going to South by Southwest or a really big conference and just gathering like as many contacts as you can. That's cool. That's one way of doing it. But that wasn't going to build my network in the way that I wanted to build relationships with people. And so I think I had to start really rethinking what it looked like to network, and all these different ways of networking. Totally, this exercise changed how I thought about meeting people and like building up my network of the people that I wanted to be close to, which I don't know, I guess you figure that out in your 40s and 50s maybe. Like learn those lessons, I don't know. But it was a really interesting exercise, especially as I think a parent. It looks really different to network as
Mm-hmm.
when you have kids. You know, you can't always go to the happy hours either.
I think there's so much about networking that is it's single lane and has been single lane for so long, and you either fit or you don't fit. I ran into this really early on when I was thinking about just sort of what I wanted to. Like, I knew that I did not want to work in the hospital forever, but I wasn't really sure what to do. Problem is, all of the networking events, and this wasn't last year, this is a couple years ago, many years ago now, 10 years ago. God, what happened to time? Oh, that's gross. 10 years ago when they're like, we have this happy hour event at this like restaurant in this side room, and you go in and every other person you meet is a real estate agent or someone that's like, it couldn't even be farther from what you're doing, but they just sort of like lumped everyone together. These events were like between 4 and 6. These events were like on Saturdays. These events were, there's always a component of like that sit down dinner piece or whatever. And it just never connected. It's like I would get ready and I'd go and I'd meet a bunch of people and I'd leave, and you take inventory of like, what did I learn and who did I meet and how is this going to move the ball forward? And for so long, it was like, nothing is going to come of this. I just spent 2 hours where I either had to hire a babysitter or I had to this was early. I had to pump before I left. And, you've got to do the mental math of like, if the train leaving the station is going 50 miles an hour and I just fed this kid who knows how much because he's breastfed, how many seconds do I have before someone screams and I start sweating? Time to leave the house now.
Oh, yeah.
And it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand why. And I just have to do something different, but there was no different. This I love.
Yes. Yeah. And I think too, it's that idea of when you walk into something that's been labeled networking, you know the formula.
It's
People,
gross.
especially if there's name tags, you're looking at that person's name tag, you're seeing who they are, what their company is, what their title is, like, and that's how you're filtering who you want to meet with, or if they're worth your time or not worth your time, opposed to saying like, I think one of the things too, as part of the experiment was like, I want to join communities that thrive on real life, not the resumes, right? So where do I go where I'm not going into that back room and I can't talk about the fact that I just had to pump before I got in here? Because like, you should know the context around
Yeah.
my life. But maybe that obviously wasn't the right room. So thinking about like, how do you strip away that veneer of like the networking experience? And especially being a parent, like one of the other places I looked was not just in person, like in real life is awesome for so many reasons, but what if you could find something online? And so I started vetting all of these different, online communities, because with Slack and all these other tools, they're pretty pervasive. The cost ranges vacillates wildly.
Mm-hmm.
But I found the Old Girls Club, which I think we're actually both part of.
Yes.
And that was an amazing community. And I wrote about it in the article. I interviewed the founder, Mallory Contois, and she founded it for very close to the same reasons that we're talking about. She's like, of course I could have joined, I don't want to talk insensitively about any other community, because communities can be, whatever you need it to be for you. But there is a women's focused community that is very expensive. And it also is elite in terms of like the titles you need to have to join. And she's like, I didn't want that. And she's like, and I'm an introvert. So she goes, what better way to think of building a community that strips away the veneer, that isn't required for, that huge company and community. Let's make the opposite of what that is. And so I think she puts like the humans at the center, which for me is like my entire ethos of how I've built my career too. And when I interviewed her, I love what she said. She's like, I'm not, and this is exactly what you're saying too, I am not one person. I am not Ashley who makes this specific thing at this specific time. I am like many versions of myself. Like I'm a mom that has a million questions. I'm an entrepreneur that also needs some reassurance that I'm heading in the right direction. I'm also, all these different things. And she's like, I want to create a space where people can show up in that way and have many different avenues to show up. So I loved that mentality. And I don't know, you could talk about your experience in it as well, but I found like really amazing people that I never otherwise would have had access to, but it's all built on realness and like authenticity and not my title, my role, and like what I can get from that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that so much of what happened, like, I feel like the grandfather, because we're calling this a dude problem, the grandfather of networking was business schools, right? And so it was like, this is how you pitch yourself, and this is how you have to hit these points, and like, let's all get in a circle and try it out. And then it was like, well, we want to create these bigger networks, so let's go out and do it this way. That's a very one lane approach versus now. Like, I think that I'm a fan of online networking groups purely for the fact that I have been able to meet people way outside of my community, and it does not require all of that stuff. It does not require, like, I have my kids are much older now, but like I have breastfed while I'm in these groups. I have had, the kid where you're like, you can't come past here because you are in not one single stitch of clothing, but I am trying to have this conversation. And it just, these groups just have created this opportunity for people to show up really as they are. And, it's like the COVID weatherman, right? Where like his wife is crawling in the room to like grab the kids out of it. Like that's not the outlier anymore. It's like, how many people come as you are? I hosted like a coffee chat kind of thing for a couple of months, and it was on Friday, and I was like, just show up. I literally don't care. Like, eat your lunch. It's just an hour for entrepreneurs who maybe don't have a network or haven't figured out what they want their network to be like, who are trying these things out. And a lot of what we talked about in there was like, how do you meet other people that are parents who are building? How do you meet other people who are interested in this space? How do you meet other people? And so this specificity of audience is totally my jam. And I am a fan of OGC. There is a huge element of like drinking from a fire hose in that group, because there are so many people that have found this as a space that really aligns for them. So I think you have to also know yourself, and like you can get in there and like, see in a couple weeks, like you can totally go down the rabbit hole, or you can be really specific with how you engage. And the beauty of a organization or a platform like that is that if you are specific and you are intentional, that actually feeds you versus, you get in there and all of a sudden you've got to like pour out all the way down to your toenails and you're like, I am more exhausted Like it actually has a fulfilling, recharging element to it.
Totally, totally. And I think too, once you start finding the spaces, then people have other recommendations of spaces. So
Yeah.
after joining OGC, I met a mom we probably both have in common, Jess Riggenberg. I feel like
Hmm.
Jess knows everybody. But I had put something out there in the like Life Parents channel in OGC. And I was like, I'm dying here. I'm parenting a child in preteens. I need someone that has a boy that's 11 years old, like very, very specific. And she's the person who responded and she goes, I'm your person. Let's talk immediately. And
Yeah.
now, fast forward 2 years that I've been in this community and she's also entrepreneur and I've gotten the opportunity to learn from her. And like, then she said, hey, have you ever heard of Society of Working Mothers, another Slack channel?
Hmm.
I found a lot of support in OGC, but maybe you want to be more specific, like you're saying, in this type of environment. And I was like, yeah, okay, super accessible, completely different, not completely different vibe, a supportive vibe, amazing group of women just showing up a little bit differently than
Hmm.
OGC because of, who the people are that are on the platform. But that's been really amazing. And so it's like people kind of bring you along. And then I also have another friend, Carissa Deegan, who's here. I'm local in Chicago, and I met her online at LinkedIn, as one does. And then we met in person randomly because we both are connected to someone. And she's doing something very similar with like these coffee talks for entrepreneurs, like curated coffee connections. And you just show up as you are. And I
Hmm.
met so many really interesting people that, again, I never would have met. People like having tea companies and starting amazing retreats and all of these things that, again, following kind of those connection points has led me to many more rich relationships than if I just would have like shook hands at that one conference.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that for me, in the space that I work in the in the area of tech that I work in, it is a very small community and there's an element of like it's not the stepping on each other's toes, but it's sort of it can become an echo chamber of sorts when you're looking at the same group of people you're trying to build for similar. I mean, there is a variety, but it can feel very, well, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? And stuff like that. What I
Hmm.
really like about these other programs, and especially like these ones that are sort of motherhood, not focused, but there's like it's in the title, it's in the tagline, somewhere
Hmm.
along there where you don't have. It's just a different vibe. It's like people are just trying to do X, Y, and Z. Like if you're not going to get a response in that group between 4 and 6 p.m. You're not like if it is a weekend of blah blah blah. Do not come in here with your hair on fire because like our hair is already on fire. We're all trying to go in different directions. But what I love about those groups is that it's not I'm not trying to find answers or shared experiences with someone who's building in this specific industry. I'm trying to find answers as an entrepreneur who's also navigating motherhood and kids that are growing and changing and no 2 days are the same and all that stuff. And there's a lot of understanding that can be found there. And so much of the things that I've learned have absolutely nothing to do with the industry I'm in, but they're almost like I can figure that stuff out more than I can figure out how to navigate 72 drop-offs between 4 and 7. And oh, we have to eat dinner too. And oh, like, don't forget the dog. And oh, just
Totally.
that level of community I love.
Yes, yes. And I think you make a good point because sometimes maybe I don't want to be in the mom mode. So
Yeah.
maybe like I want to be in a different mode because, again, like Mallory said, we're many versions of ourselves. And so, as I was doing the experiment, part of it is like I want to find groups that I have shared common interests with and am maybe in its similar life stages. But then I also want to make sure I'm not pinholing myself into
Hmm.
those things because I can grow and change and be those additional versions of myself. And so I flipped it completely and said, okay, I've got my online communities and like, that's really interesting. What are the communities where it's not a huge lift to do like something in person? And so I found Wonder Woman dinners, which were really interesting, like small. Okay, how do I explain this? Because they're really powerful and super awesome. So Yao Wang started this network of Wonder Women dinners. And essentially they function, I might get the stats wrong here, so I don't know if there's a check on this, but I think she started in 2005 and now they're in like 30 cities, Chicago, New York, like global. There's one in Australia. And the formula is the same. They have a dinner inside of someone's home in that city, and it's usually around 20 people or less. And she essentially is like, I've created this formula where strangers become friends in less than 2 hours. And it's so true. She seats you where she thinks you should meet someone based on the commonalities. Not everyone is accepted in because she's like, maybe at this dinner, this isn't the right mix of people.
Yeah.
Or maybe, and so it's very thoughtful in the way she's doing it. And the diversity of people is amazing. You have people who are very accomplished and, farther along in their career, and you have someone else who's like 2 years in. And so sometimes you forget as a seasoned professional what it felt like to be that person in the room who needed the reassurance or the confidence, and you're able to provide that. Or someone who's going through something at your stage, but you don't know. So when you get there, you kind of like chat and you find people and you're like, oh, these are really interesting women. Then you sit down and your name tag has your name and maybe your company or who you are. But the opener, as there's a chef that comes in and gives you your dinner, and the opener is basically like, tell me something Google doesn't know about you. That's it. And people tell stories and you get to be whatever, storyteller you want to be. Sometimes they're salacious, sometimes, they're not. It totally depends on the vibe of the group. But I've met amazing women going into these dinners with, I'm a very planful person, but that level of spontaneity and not exactly knowing who you're going to meet has led to amazing friendships and really amazing conversations. And I think too, just being open to saying, "Ugh, this might feel a little uncomfortable. I'm not exactly sure who I'm going to know." And you're like, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of the point.
Well, and you also know that the person who is arranging this dinner is intentional about that and that it's not, I think that when you go to a conference, especially like the last conference I went to was last March, not like March ago, like a year March ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that that was the last conference that I'm going to go to unless, I am presenting or something like that, because that's exactly it, right? You sit down at a table of 8 people in a room that holds 200 and you're like, luck of the draw. Like I could be sitting next to someone that you're like, you're a very nice person and you're wonderful, but like there is zero in common here. And we are just so far apart in whatever realm it is that it's really difficult. And then you leave, you're like, I spent all this money to come here. I spent all this money to stay here. And I'm leaving not feeling like I moved the needle in any direction that I was looking for. And like, some of these conferences are really well promoted and they're well packaged and things like that. And so like that ended up being more the experience that I had outside of the conference. And I thought, I can't justify it. I can't justify the time away from my kids. I cannot justify the time away from work. I cannot justify all of that. And so from that point, I pivoted and did what you did, is started on these smaller group things. So like if you send me something that is 30 people or less, I am going to open it and I'm going to read it. And there is a 90+% chance that I am going to show up to it or fill out the form or whatever. If you send me a thing that's pitching that I'm going to like grow my network and I'm going to like make all these contacts and I'm going to meet all of these people, like I won't even get to the second paragraph because of that, like it's just, you're just yelling into a void.
Yeah. Sometimes those smaller rooms are the best. And I think the other thing you mentioned is like, that doesn't sound fun. The like at all. And I think too, as parents, why can't you combine networking, which has such this bleh connotation, with fun? And I think that's the other thing that Yao at Wonder Woman Dinners has done. She's like, funny is sticky. Vulnerability is created in these moments where you're actually having fun with people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what happened to that? And it's
Yeah.
so true. I have laughed so hard in those rooms. I leave with like my face hurting because I've smiled so much. And it was, by all accounts, it was exhausting, but the best kind, where you
Yeah.
leave and you're so happy you did that and
Mm-hmm.
you can't wait for the next one. And so I think building those bonds through like humor and vulnerability and trust, like that's what I want. I don't
Yeah.
want, something else. And so it makes sense that you don't want to go to a big conference with big rooms because the thought and the curation of building trust through emotions, whatever it might be, it isn't there because it hasn't been thought through at that level.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like for all the promise that the brochure does or the website does or whatever of this network building, the most beneficial, the most thoughtful, the most like helpful in so many in many different directions, connections and follow-ups that I have from those small groups versus the larger conferences, they're not even in the same ballpark. Like the small group people, if you sit down and have dinner with somebody and you are, across the table from them, they're next to you, and there is some connection, or like you said, there's some level of vulnerability, there's some level of like some sort of cross-pollination between two people. Those are the people who will email you. Those are the people who don't just get added to your LinkedIn connections and then you're like, I'm never going to see this person again. Those are the people who, when you say, I'm really looking for someone to connect with about this, this, and this, when you get up in the morning or the next day, you're going to have an email in your inbox or in your messages that says, hey, great to meet you. This is the person I was talking about. That has
Mm-hmm.
only all ever come from small group or direct online outreach from like these bigger groups. And that also involves being really intentional about what you're asking for and what you're putting out there. So same.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think one of the things after the article hit, a lot of people are like, okay, so love this 100%. What if I can't find that group? What if, I'm in a more rural area and I am not sure about going in person? Whatever it might be, one of the things that I also wrote about and followed up a lot on with people was like, if you can't find what you're looking for, just build it yourself.
Yeah.
Like, who's to say? Most of these networks or the community Slack channels or the dinners, they were all born out of the founders not finding what they were looking for. And so, one of the things that I talk about in the article, and then I've talked about like a lot with people afterwards, is what's holding you back from actually starting something. And I was introduced to Pocky Lozana through one of my good friends who's the CEO of Women in Innovation. And I'm not name dropping to name drop. I'm just saying that like
You're
great
just
people know
amazing.
great people, whatever, but great people know really great people. And I think don't
Yeah.
sleep on saying like, hey, I've been really, to your point, be direct with your ask. I said, hey, Amanda, I'm looking to expand my network. I'm continuing to write. I am always looking for inspiration. She's like, you should meet Pocky. I said, great. So she's over in Amsterdam. She is an innovation executive at IKEA and just a brilliant mind. And we started talking about networking. And I was like, wait a minute, you're building your own communities. Why did you build this? She goes, well, nothing existed. I said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
tell me more. And so she and her friend, Jenny Nicholson, started Brilliant Failures together. And the whole premise of building this space was so that specifically women and others, could join in celebrating creation and also celebrate in sometimes having failures. And so they spun up like this brand new way to join a network because they felt it didn't exist and they created it for themselves, right? And then they dug in deeper and they're like, you know, not enough women potentially are in the AI conversation a couple of years ago. So like we're actually going to create something called Brilliant Mothers, where we have little small cohorts of like 20 or less people. And we're going to talk about how you are integrating it into your life and as a mother, what that looks like for you. Like it didn't exist, so they just built it. And I think people had to get beyond the fact that that might sound intimidating, because I have a friend in our neighborhood who was like, I want to have craft night. And I was like, yeah, great, let's do it. Just start it and we'll follow. And another mom who's a good friend was like, you know what? We need to have a place where we can just like, as moms, let our hair down. And it's called Mamapalooza. And we're doing it. And now it's in its third year. And it's just like a mom rager. And all of these things were created because they wanted to, and there wasn't space to do it. And so I think like not being intimidated by that idea, and if you think you're an N of one, you're actually an N of 100 because 100 other people are having the same thought, and just start it.
Yeah. I mean, like the worst thing that can happen in the entire world is that you put something out there and nobody signs up, right? But is that really the worst thing in the world? Or is it like, so what happens, right? It's not like, like the earth opens up and you fall in the middle of it. So people don't resonate, like whatever, it's fine. Just pivot. But it's that piece of like, when you're in school and everyone has the same question, but nobody wants to raise their hand. And then there's the one person who's like, oh, by the way, I didn't get the last 20 minutes of what you just said. And the teacher says, how many other people need help? And all of a sudden, like all these hands are in the air. It's like, just be the one to raise your hand. Brilliant failures. Like, I love that idea. I love that title for that group, because I think we have to embrace when stuff doesn't work out, something goes sideways, when you're like, you know what, maybe I just missed the mark, whether it's entrepreneurship or parenting or all of that stuff. But we have to just carry the ball forward. You might trip, the ball might slip out of your hands, whatever it is, but just keep on trucking.
Exactly. It's like that experimentation mindset where scientists don't get upset when something doesn't work out. That's a data point. And so you can use every data point and kind of create your own experiment to figure out what your network looks like. And it's okay if that online community wasn't for you. It's okay. If you set it up as an experiment, you know that failure is part of it, and you can move on to what is going to work best for you, which I think is a brilliant way to think about it, because you never lose. You're always winning in some sort of way because you have new information, which is really helpful.
Hey, it's Ashley. When I started my business, my first business, it felt like I had two options: figure it out on my own or pay a high ticket price for a coach, and there was nothing in between. I was a beginner trying to make smart decisions without burning myself out or my savings, so I built what I wish had existed. This course is 6 clear, practical modules that take you from first decisions to launch and beyond. No fluff, just guidance, structure, and support. And no how bad do you want it, or we all have the same 24 hours in the day guilt trips. I created it to help women build lives and businesses on their own terms, not just to sell a course. Listeners can take 20% off with the code NURTURED20. For more information, go to andbothpodcast.com. I think one of those things where, and I'm sure you guys have this in Chicago, this was probably like 10, maybe 15 years ago. It's before I had kids. My oldest is 13. That's weird. And same height as me. Like, there's a lot of like,
oh, I know.
Is this my life? What is happening? And she took my this morning. She was like, can I borrow these shoes? And I'm like, sure, they're upstairs. She's like, wearing them. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess this is a given. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
I get it.
Anyways, it's, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Of course, the shoes thing threw me off. It's just like the wildest.
Same. I put on some sweatpants the other day, and they were my son's. And I was like, that's weird. I was like, nope, these are not my pants. These are not my pants.
But also, these are kind of nice because don't you buy nicer sweatpants for your son than you buy for yourself sometimes? And you're like,
For sure. For sure.
hmm,
You're like, these aren't the
interesting.
Costco ones. These are the nice ones.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Oh my God, bringing it back. So they
Just to
used to
Costco.
have,
Yep.
yeah, Costco. Oh, we're getting a Costco soon. I can't wait. We have BJ's right now and it's fine-ish, but it's not as good as my life is going to be when Costco opens. Another level. So years ago, this pre-child, they used to have these, they had something called the New Hampshire Sport and Social League. And it was for adults who, it was predominantly people like in their early 20s who could play all of these games and sports or whatever. So they had like beach volleyball, they had dodgeball, they had bowling, they had all of these different things. And the whole idea was like, it's all the stuff that we grew up doing. It's really hard for adults to make friends. And so we all get together and you do these leagues. You play these games and then there's like a sponsor. There was like a sponsoring bar or something like that. And everyone went to the bar afterwards and it was a great time. And I think about that in the context of like, somebody realized, hey, there's all of these people out here who just got out of school because I'm an elder millennial. Ugh. And we all were told you have to go to college in order to like be successful and you need to take out all these loans and whatever. But everyone is kind of in this span of life where you're now no longer in school. You don't have a way to like access social networks outside of your own, like people you work with. And they identified that as a problem. And I feel like we're in this next, like the 4.0 version of that. But bringing it back to these activities, right? It's like, who wants to have a craft night? And, someone's like, well, I love crafts. It's like the coloring. Remember coloring was like the biggest thing for a
Yes.
long time?
Yes.
Or paint night. Like put me in kindergarten. Just put me in kindergarten. I want the cortisol to just run right out of my feet and I'll be a happy person.
And that's what we did. I mean, she was like, all right, we're going to come over. We're going to make like polymer clay. The first one was around the holidays. She's like, we're just going to make polymer clay ornaments. Low stakes. Everyone can do this. Totally fine. The next time we made bag charms. And that was super fun. And it doesn't even matter if it's good. You're just like, well, one looks gross, whatever. The whole point is that you're sitting here making something with your hands. Yeah, you're with a community, maybe people you don't know, but you're all centered around making things too, which can be really powerful. And I think it doesn't have to be crafts. Like the other thing that I thought about and did in my experiment was like, what if you have a really deep passion, but it's not part of your day job? And you maybe don't want to start like a whole new business on it. How can you, because that would be my tendency is like, well, now I'm going to create this. And you're like, don't do it. So I started kind of looking for relationships that were built more on like my similar passions. And I have a very big passion around gender equity, women's equity. And if you listen to our last caregiving podcast, which you can go back and now listen to in like 2 years ago, they'll never find it. Maybe they will. It doesn't matter. The whole point
I'm going to link it. Gosh darn it. People need to hear this.
There
it's
we
important.
Go. There we go. I went through something with my mom where she has an autoimmune condition and I'm part of that sandwich generation of caregiving. And, I have a lot of passion around how do we solve that? How can we make sure that our girls, our boys, like whatever that might be, that there is something that research-wise has been done. And so I started looking up different organizations that might align to that. And I found one locally where I could join a volunteer board. And I'd never done that before. And so right in the height of the pandemic, I was like, well, now seems like a good time to join a board. So here I go. And I did. I joined Friends of Prentice, which is a local board here in Chicago. And the whole purpose is it's a non-for-profit that funds early stage research for women's health. So all the topics that the NIH
Very cool.
or all these other, preeclampsia, all the things in a women's span of a life that have not been researched. And their whole goal is to raise money, fund those grants so that early stage researchers can build on top of that and get the larger grants, which right now through NIH aren't even happening. So like this research is so critical and so important. And I wanted to be part of that, and joining a volunteer board was like, it opened up so many different doors. Number one, whole group of new people that all have a similar passion of mine. Amazing. You build bonds very quickly that way. Also, I get to use all these skill sets that I have to keep kind of giving back in that organization. So within like a month, I ended up being the membership chair. And I was like, oh, that escalated quickly, which is very part of my like firstborn, elder millennial, daughter, Virgo. Like, I don't know, add in all the words, like very apropos for me. And I started looking at how can I apply what I've been doing in innovation, what I'm really good at talking to executives, and start to apply that to this organization. And it felt so good. It felt so good. And that was networking. I now
Mhm.
have, 70 plus amazing people as part of this organization that I could talk to about anything. Some are lawyers, very different than me, but I can tap into that type of knowledge or expertise. And so I think people shouldn't sleep on like it could be a craft, and crafts are fun and like silly and have their own purpose, but could also be something that you're like, I really care deeply about this. And I want to connect with people that also care deeply about this. And so I don't know, there's like so many different ways to think about it. And it doesn't have to just feel like something that's silly either. It could feel very passion driven.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's too, is it's definitely important to, if you have X number of hours in the week, where do you want that to go? Because we're really, for the purpose of the listeners of the show, we're talking about people who are like trying to shoehorn in a shower some weeks. And so it's like, what is the most restorative or regenerative part? Is it this like low stakes kind of craft space? Is this a coffee chat with like a half a dozen people? Is this a board where you have a chance to say like, I can see the vision for the future, and a big picture helps me feel more grounded in the work that I'm doing on the day-to-day basis now and stuff like that. And I think that is the magic, is that there are so many places and spaces that that represent the continuum, that when you know what you're looking for and you get really, really pointed about that, you're going to find something. And then to your point, if you don't find it, you're not the only one. And so throw it out there, like throw it out on LinkedIn or whatever. Like I had people that first coffee chat, I don't think knew, I knew one person in the group. And then as it went on, I did it over the winter. As it went on, it was like people that I had never met before. I wasn't even connected with them. They just found it and were like, let's do this. And it was small and I loved it because I don't want to moderate a discussion of 20 people. I want to talk to like 5.
Yep. And I think that's the nice thing, right? Like you can build your network at whatever speed or whatever levers you have. If time is low, do some online communities. You can do that
Mhm.
at 2 a.m. or on your trip into the office, whatever it might look like for you. Like the flexibility might be the lever that you need to pull at that time. Whereas you're like, okay, my kids are getting a little bit older. They're a little bit more self sufficient. I have time isn't as much. It is always a luxury. Let's be real. But like, I have just an ounce more. So I actually want to do that volunteer board. And like, that's okay. It's okay for those
Mhm.
levers to go up and down as long as you don't neglect them. I think that's the thing that I realized, right? Like I let my network kind of like go dark for a while.
Yeah.
And it's not about how am I going to get that next career or what, or how can these people help me? It's more of like, you should be able to come back to that network, the people because they're the people who are going to help you when you need it. They're the people, like, and if you've built it the right way, you should be able to come back to that because now that's your community. Now these are people that know you, not just surface level know you, but like know you enough to know what you're about, what you care about. You've helped them. They're there to help you. Like it's just built and structured differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Because it's true. No one has any time.
No, no. That's like just a big old no.
It's a lie.
It is a lie.
It's
It's a
such a
genuine
lie.
lie.
I mean, we're recording this in May, and I just, I like I feel like the entire month, May 1st to June 1st, we are on two wheels, like no matter what. And,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, there's another email that's like, oh, we have to have this meeting, and oh, we have to, do this costume, and oh, we have to do all our field trips. Not all of them. That's dramatic. But right now I feel like that's apropos. We have to do all our field trips in the month of May. You're like,
Got to fit a lot of
man,
stuff in there. Maycember, baby. That's what it is, right?
Maycember, no cookies.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it is. And I think, so when there's no time, I would say the good thing that we are all really good at as parents is finding the slivers of, like,
Mhm.
to your point, like, what do you want to do with that time and how do you want to structure it? And after I wrote the article, people were like, oh my God, yes, I want to do all of these things and I want to learn so much more. And when you write an article, there's only so many words that you can put in the article. Originally, it was like 4,000 words. The editor was like, are you joking? It needs to be like half of that. And I was like, fair, fair, fair. I'd written a lot because this is such a great topic. And
Mhm.
so after I wrote it, I was like, how can I extend this? Because I think people actually want to have conversations. So I was like, start a podcast. I was like, oh, sweet Jesus. No, I don't think I should start a podcast. But what if I just did a series of like virtual events, like just Luma, throw them up there, see if people want to join, and I'll interview the founders that I already interviewed for the article, and we'll talk about each of these things. So I've been doing it over the course of the last couple of weeks, and we've had everything from like 200 people register to like 20 people, right? And each of those conversations has been so interesting. And just getting to hear live, like an article can't always convey everything that person has to say. And so giving these founders like platforms to talk about what's really interesting and what's been helpful has been so fun. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, well, this series didn't exist, so I just created it. And I'm not doing this forever. And it's only like 6 conversations. But halfway through, I'm like, this is really great. This is really great. It gives people an opportunity. They can tune in as long as they register, then they get the link and they can watch it whenever they want to or never. Who cares? Like, but
Yeah.
I think giving people access and opportunities and choice and flexibility, like there is something out there for everyone and you can fit it in. I think that's a misnomer. I know that time is a luxury. Don't do it in May. Like just wait it out 20 some days. And then be like in June it'll start. And you're like, "Well, no, I have kids. It's summer." You're like, "Yes." But even to just pick one thing,
Mhm.
start low stakes, I think you can see the benefit and then you can figure out from there like what's going to work. And I think that's what every single founder has said, like of these communities and organizations. Like just pick one thing, just start with one. It's okay. Like don't be overwhelmed and don't compare yourself to someone else who's, in 15 communities. You don't have to do that. Just start with one
Yeah.
that feels good and like you get the ball rolling. I was like, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I love it. And it's also this notion that I think in our the day and age that we live in now, it's like, well, if I do a little bit, it's good. If I do a lot, it's got to be even better. Like, and we're
Mm,
saying the opposite of that, right? Like, it's because you have all these channels available, it does not mean that you need to be in all of these channels in order to be doing it right. Like, there is no right way. There is no, like, if like what you're saying, if February everyone is homesick all month, you don't really want to be going to in-person events. Like, fire up the Zoom and carry on that way. If it's May, not May. If it's September and it's still really nice out, I couldn't even. And it's still really nice out and your kids are back in school and you can meet people during the day because it's still 70 degrees out and nice and you can sit and have coffee, like, do that then. But don't put pressure on yourself that you've got to show up in all of these different places because that also detracts from the authenticity of it.
yes. Big time. Big time. If you don't have the energy to show up and feel like you want to be in that moment, you're not going to show up and
Mhm.
feel your best in that moment. And then you're not going to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
I used to like live and die by my calendar, which I still do. Like our family calendar is everything. But I've been trying to manage my time a little bit more based on like my energy levels. And, I do really good writing work in the afternoon in a really busy coffee shop with my headphones on, blasting classical music. I don't do well first thing in the morning writing, and I'm tired. So, like, trying to think through even like your own energy levels of like, hey, if I'm going to do this dinner, maybe volunteering during the day, also having your full-time job, trying to do all these, that maybe isn't going to manage your energy well either. So like trying to kind of think about it, like you said, more of like, what can I handle right now? What feels good? What doesn't? That also means you have to listen to yourself, which can be hard because
Tricky.
you just blow through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, how many people right now are like, again, on two wheels and being like,
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't have a choice. So I think too, like sometimes we get into this mode of like this next meeting could be the one, right? It's always like it's like the lottery ticket mentality that we have. It's like, well, if I just buy one more, then I'm gonna like hit the scratch ticket and win $100,000 and change my life. Like, what is the likelihood that that's gonna happen? Very, very small. And that's not to say like none of these events are worth your time, but if you do have to miss something, the likelihood that like that was it, that's your one and done like rom-com central is very, very slim.
So slim, so slim. Like perfect example. Yesterday, I took my mom out for Mother's Day and we had lunch. And I knew at 1 o'clock I had a catch up with an old colleague that we've been planning on for a while. And it was on video chat. And then I was taking my mom shopping and I'm like, oh, I'm in that hour time frame where I'm not exactly sure if it's going to work. And I really wanted to talk to her though. I really was excited about it. Not that I thought I was going to win a golden ticket or something, but like I just really was looking forward to it and I didn't want to cancel. But I sent her a text. I'm like, listen, I'm not exactly sure it's going to work. Like, can we potentially shift it? Well, fast forward, I was able to get into the car at the exact time. I'm like, hey, would you mind shifting this? And I can talk while I'm in the car. Like, I love a good car chat. And she's
Mhm.
like, yeah, okay, great. I'll take a walk. And it felt so nice for someone to meet me where I was at and be like, yeah, I'd rather talk to you than not talk to you in whatever form is going to work for you. And
Yeah.
I think we just forget to ask if we need something. And sometimes we assume that there's an expectation built that wasn't actually built, and you can set it for what's going to work for you. And it just felt really nice in that moment for her to be like, yeah, great. This works for me too. I'm going to walk. And
Mhm.
we had a great conversation and it all worked out. So I think just again, like it doesn't have to be everything or nothing. It can be shades of that. And you can also change it at any time.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah. I mean, we're all humaning.
We sure
We are
are.
all we are really trying to do our best in this whatever it is. Like whatever phase of your life, right? Like again, you've got little tiny kids at home. Your availability and the energy that you have is going to be incredibly different probably than when you have
Mm-hmm.
teenagers. But teenagers, you might have more physical energy, but emotionally, you are empty.
I'm learning that. I'm learning that. Yeah, that's a new journey. That's a new
Mhm.
journey. And then that might mean my network looks a little bit different. Before we jumped on, we were talking about like, what have I been up to and what's going on? And I'm like, oh, well, a friend and I both were lamenting about teenagers and how difficult the topics become and how challenging it is emotionally. And, what does it look like to build community in that space? Wow. I don't know.
Mhm.
We're going to try and just start building something. But it's those moments where you just have those real conversations with people. And I don't know if community will be built into it. I think there is a really important part. And community and networking are two very different things, I think. We don't have to go into semantics. That's not important. But feeling part of something
Yeah.
is synonymous in both of those. And I think having shared understanding, shared meaning, shared experiences, like that's what builds it. That's what drives it. Whatever you're going to build, whether it's a community or a product or a service or nothing, and you're just
Mhm.
going out to brunch, that's cool too. Like
Yeah.
it looks different in different seasons.
Yeah. I think that definitely one of those things that I underestimated as a parent, because you spend so many years in elementary school and there's so much contact that you have with your kids and there's a lot of contact that you have with your kids' teachers and stuff like that, is that I did not realize how little interaction you have with other people in the school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just sort of think, okay,
Hmm.
in elementary school, you have drop off and you pick them up, or, like aftercare, before care, whatever your situation is. You see parents all the time. Your kids want to have play dates and stuff like that. Now they're older and they have a phone, or they have a group of friends that they hang out with, and you don't know their parents. You don't know, you know as much about them as they want you to know about them. And now you really don't get a chance just to meet and see other parents in that community. And I think it's a little wild. It's like, it can feel like that graduating college kind of piece again, where like you see these people all day long and then you get into middle school and like, the car stops and the kid gets out, but that's it. Like, you wave to people, and there are people that my kids went to school with forever and ever that I have not seen them. My oldest is in her second year of middle school. I haven't seen them since sixth grade. Wild. Wild.
I know. I know. Well, and sometimes you think about it, like, how much did you have in common to begin
Hmm.
with those, besides the fact that your kids were friends,
Yeah.
right? But you want to be there and you want to make sure that you have some level of relationship. But
Hmm.
yeah, as they get older, that level changes dramatically. I'm trying to make it, gosh, my son would be like horrified if I was like talking about this, but here we go. I want to be the house where like everyone wants to be, and
Yeah.
not in a like I'm the fun mom, because I'm fun, but I've got rules. But I want like I will feed anyone. Like, talking about Costco, good Lord. I'm going to Costco today, and one of those sole reasons is because I want to get snacks. I stock like a little fridge downstairs because I
Hmm.
just want them to feel like they can be somewhere, and they'll have to abide by whatever rules I have. But like, I will always make you a frozen pizza because I have 50 of them now from Costco. And I don't know. I want to show, like, kind of building back to like community and networking. I want to show my kids what it looks like to like welcome people, and what
Hmm.
it looks like to, you know, be there anytime. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Tell me you're going to come over in 10 minutes and I'll be like, heck yeah, let's go. It's not going to be
Hmm.
perfect. You're going to eat on paper plates. I'm going to expect you to throw your trash away. You can't trash my house, but we're going to have fun, and I'll like, it'll be a good time. And I think even showing your kids, like, hey, this is what it looks like to welcome people and to set boundaries. And
Yeah.
also, now I'm going to go over to this dinner, and you're sad that I'm not going to be here. But it's important too for me to be able to have that time to meet other people too. And that's important. And it's like, as a parent, it's wild to be like teaching these lessons while you're doing the thing, especially as they get older, because they're paying attention. For sure, they're paying attention.
Yeah. I have massive Costco envy right now. Like,
I'm so sorry. I have a list. I love it so much. I have systems. Like, I have
oh,
anyways, when your Costco comes, you should get these fold out, like, they're like totes almost, but they
oh, the
fold flat, and then
bags.
they're like bags, but they're like totes. So it like folds out and then is a harder surface, and then they're like rectangles. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing a good job at describing it. I could draw it better. But I put like 6 of those in the cart, and then I've
Yep.
got like the cold stuff goes in one, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, your system's so great." And I was like, "I know, it's so great." Um, I'm a regular. And then their pharmacy is amazing too. So I don't know. Your podcast should be sponsored by Costco, because
Hey, I second that.
it's, yeah. God, I love Costco. You can get those hot dogs for like $1.50.
Is that still a thing?
It is still a thing. The owner, there's an article somewhere around, like, just within the last year, all the executives were like, we got to raise the prices of those hot dogs. And he's like, no, I'll raise every other price besides those hot dogs. And it stayed the same. Those hot dogs are the same price. So he loses money on the hot dogs.
It's fine. He's like paving the parking lot with $100 bills and everything else. It's the Arizona iced tea guy too. Is that him?
Mm-hmm.
The big
Yes.
cans
Yes.
where everything, like, it
Yes.
just went up for the first time, like, ever in its history, I
Yes.
think, but they were $1.
I guarantee there's a community or a network around Costco loving and around Arizona iced tea lovers. So if those are
I'm
your
sure.
jams, like, I should go
Mhm.
find the Costco, like, loving community because I'm hard, like, I go hard on Costco. I love Costco so much.
My brother has a Costco by him. He lives an hour from me. And I went over there and we were, kids and everything. And I was like, oh, this is really good. He's like, oh, I got this at Costco. And I was like, oh, I really like this. Like at Costco. I'm like, he's like, yes, I only shop at Costco. I
You can
was
buy
like,
clothes at Costco,
you buy furniture at
socks.
Costco.
Yes, I love it so much. Now I'm gonna go search for a community of Costco lovers, and I'm gonna find a spot.
Yeah. You find one, send me the link and I'll put it in the show notes because I'm sure that everybody who is like, you know what? I love me a Costco too.
And you're like, wow, you went down a really weird rabbit hole, ladies.
We took a
Like,
left. Yeah, took a
but you know
left.
what? That's what should happen. All right, Costco community. I'm
Mhm.
writing this note down so I don't forget it. It's really important. It's critical to the success of this episode
My
is
God.
knowing about the Costco community.
Watch, you'll find like a community of like 50,000 people, and it's like, Costco tattoos and Costco bumper stickers and everything. I really hope that community exists because that's going to make my Maysember really just
I
rock.
guarantee, I guarantee in some form it does. It might not be exactly the caliber of what we're looking for, but I will do some digging and see what I can find. There's got to be something.
You have found all of these other communities. You can find it.
That's right. I
Mhm.
absolutely can. I'm just going to add it to my experiment list, and I'm sure I can find these other people that appreciate it as much as I do.
Maybe you'll find another tote person in there and be like, listen.
Do you want to compare totes? We can. How sad that that's where I
Huh?
derive joy. But also, you know what? Who cares? I like organizing
Yeah.
things. I like things in places, and it feels good to me. So I'm gonna find my tote person too.
Yeah.
Costco plus totes. There's got to be an overlap of people that have minor organization structure needs while also going to Costco. Some people, I look in their carts. I look at people and I get no judgment. Like you're going to Costco and you might be getting 100, you have pallets, right? You can have a rolling pallet of stuff. And I've seen
God.
people with 20 water bottle things stacked. And each of those water bottle packages have 50 waters in them, right? So, they're
Yeah.
probably restocking a cafe or something. But then the next person has the chicken and it's just hanging out and they've not put it in a bag. And then they have it next to their Adidas pants and the socks that they've gotten. And I'm like, don't do it. That's not, you need a tote. You need a tote so you can put the chicken in that tote so it doesn't touch the pants because there is something around the structure needed in Costco.
Well, yeah, because then now you have chicken pants, whether it's grease or chicken smell or whatever. And then it's just not right. You got to get rid of one and it's.
Sometimes I got to hold myself back because I'm like, listen, Katie, this person does not want your advice. They don't know you. You don't know them. Maybe that's what they like. Maybe they like the fact that, everything is touching. Don't just let them be. But I've really had to hold myself back a couple times because
This is a TikTok series. This
it
is
could be.
Katie goes to Costco and just shows people the way. You just intercept people on the way to the checkout and be like 8.5 out of 10. However, let's throw some. You got to get the bin over with all of the boxes and be like, listen, you don't have totes, but I'm here to help you. It's what not to wear, but how to pack your cart at Costco.
I needed a new business idea, so thanks for that,
That's
Ashley.
right.
And I love it. Katie goes to Costco. Well, when I go, maybe I'll try it out today and see if people like it or if they're horrified. The workers are like, you don't work here, ma'am. Please stop harassing.
Let me get one of those vests. Thank you.
Yes. You're like, listen, I don't even need to be paid. This is a volunteer hour of my time.
This is community service.
Well, now we know what the next episode will be that we do together.
Yes.
It'll just be on Costco.
Yeah, you got to come and report back. Are you banned from Costco for being the lady in the parking lot? Let me show you the way.
chasing them down. They're like, ma'am, please, you're freaking people out. But I'll write that note down. I'll let you know how things
I love
go.
it. I can't
for
wait.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, so this is, again, not your first rodeo in the online publication world. You have published for Inc., you have published for Fast Company, all sorts of wonderful things. I'm going to put the links for your articles in the notes for the episode because they're lovely and wonderful. And then let people know where they can find you for any and all things, and specifically Costco totes, if that's really striking a nerve.
Well, my Costco tote content is pretty low right now because it's just been discovered as an opportunity today. But I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So if you follow me on LinkedIn or connect on LinkedIn, then you'll see all the articles that I typically publish. I'll put there. I also run my own consultancy. So after spending 20 years in innovation, I have pivoted to running my own business. So focusing much more on strategic program leadership for Fortune 500s, workshops, facilitation, and moderation. So you can follow me at katieschlott.com. Just go straight to my website. Every other day, I love it and then want to burn it down. So I think that's very entrepreneurial of me. So I don't know, you might visit it one day and then it's completely different the next. So it's always a journey to come visit me there. And if you're looking, I write a lot of leadership content. So like Inc. and Fast Company is much more around like these topics that we're talking today. Or my last Inc. article before what I wrote is more about like how you can incorporate vibes into your work. And that's like a whole fun topic. But I also love writing more personal pieces. So I've written for Business Insider in the last couple months, much more around like I actually left my 17-year career last summer. And what did it look like to take time off, which is a very privileged space to be right now. But what did that look like? Or I'm a very creative person. And I feel like being a parent, I lost a lot of that. And so I wrote about how I got my kind of creative mojo back and what it looked like to like incorporate tiny moments of creativity. Fun fact, I actually made these. I bought this. Okay, this is like a total segue. You can just cut this if you don't like it. I bought this necklace in a total regret. I regretted buying it at Anthropologie, but it was a beautiful necklace. It was like $50. And I was like, I got home and I was like, oh, I immediately regret this. I was like, I know I can make this, which is, again, just my attitude about everything. And so I bought these beads and I like made these and they're like Anthropologie dupes.
I love it.
Aren't they fun? Anyways, the whole point of that is to say like, you can be creative in whatever way and shape that looks like. And I think parents forget what it looks like to be fun and creative and having to answer that question. Like I hated this question when I was working in an office with immensely creative people. It was like, what'd you do for fun this weekend? I was like, I'm a parent, man. That's it. That's all I got, But I was like, I got to be able to answer that question better. So I write about all different topics and try to be as real about it as I can, because I think at this, era of our lives, what else do we have other than being real? So you find me on LinkedIn. You can find me in any of these articles. You can find me at my katieschlott.com where I put all of the articles too. So you'll find me in one of those places for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, it was great to chat with you again. And I can't wait for episode 3 of this ongoing series.
Katie goes to Costco.
Katie goes to Costco on TikTok. We have like 8 million followers next week. That's what's going to happen. Yes. People will be like, I just needed this. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It was so fun. Thank you for having me back. I will come back anytime.
Love it.